things, they don't make enough money to cover their auto ship. You know, I can't believe Motivee still got a building over here. Because they were, and then they, you know, Visalis. Here's what we want. I want the network marketing people in my business, right? Because there is no other place. You want residual income, you got to do this. Really, the other things, they're here and they're gone. They don't work. They only work for the very few select at the very top of those things. This works for everybody. A lot of people in this book aren't even recruiters. They just make a living marketing financial services. Ours is the only company where you can actually retail our product. Try and retail Visalis protein powder or Motivee acai berry juice. Put a stand outside of Costco where someone can walk in and get 2 liters of it for $8.95. Or you can buy it from Motivee for $80. You know, now I know, don't come to me after and say, ours is concentrated, we freeze ours, whatever, mumbo jumbo. And so, at the end of the day, it still comes down to this one thing, right? Money, at the end of the day. So here's what you have to understand. 90% of people in network marketing will do at least three network marketing companies before they throw the towel in on network marketing, 90%. 90% of people in network marketing don't last 1 year in that company, 1 year. So if you meet somebody and I just joined this greatest skincare, lotion, potion, jungle juice company, it's the greatest thing on the planet, say, I'll give you a buzz in 11 months, then we'll start Primerica. Right? Because that's really what it's all about. Don't be one of those statistics. And so I came here for residual income. It's what everybody sells, what everybody wants, residual income. So that's how you recruit people, residual income. So here's my first 5 years in the business, from 1988 to 1993. I made a grand total of $237,000 those first 5 years. Now, some people might look at that and say, holy smokes, that's awesome. I'd love to be able to make that my first 5 years, but I was full-time. And a lot of that came the last 2 of the first 5, right? I mean, there was a lot of, is there anybody here who's, say, more introverted than extroverted? By a show of hands. Okay, so how many of you would consider yourself really extroverted? What are the rest of you? Most of you are so introverted you wouldn't even put up your hand, right? You're so think about this.
I had to work really hard not to.
Could there be a dumber place to try and make a living as a total introvert than in the sales and recruiting business? That's me. Terrified of rejection. Still today. They said to me, once you get to a certain level of income, you never have to prospect again. And I'm like, get me there. And I got there and never did again. I don't talk to anybody that I don't want to talk to. Nobody. I never walk up to a person and have a conversation. Scares me to death. My mom said, don't ever talk to strangers. Once I got financially independent, I said, that's it. So, if there was ever a reason for you introverts to get financially independent, that's it. So you never have to talk to people again. It's awesome. So, my first 5 years, I made $237,000. And you know, in the beginning, you're grotesquely underpaid in this business for what you do if you're willing to work. Right? You're grossly underpaid because your rewards are small. But, you know, if you do the right things, eventually you're grossly overpaid here. And everybody in my business would say, I'm grossly overpaid. They pay me to do what I do, and if you follow my Facebook, they pay me to do what I do on Facebook. My job, what I do for a living is I travel around the world and I photograph some of the greatest animals and places on earth. That's what I want to do. I want to see and do and try everything before I die. And so I just need something to finance that because it doesn't really pay well. And so that's what Primerica has become. Our objective is to build and use leverage and geometric progression recruiting to build that business. And I'm going to tell you right up front, it's not easy. In fact, for most of you, this will be the toughest thing you've ever had to do in your life. And it was for me. I mean, there were many, many mornings I laid in bed paralyzed. Paralyzed. To go out because I had to go out and talk to strangers and possibly put myself in a position where I could get rejected. And for someone like me, that was a horrific experience. And I know for some people like you as well. But there was one thing that overshadowed my fear of rejection. And that was my fear of being broke. Thank God, right? And so you got to figure that one out. So here's what I did for those first 5 years. Is I focused on three main things. The first one is double-digit recruiting. And I'm gonna be honest with you right now. This is a non-negotiable if you want to be big in Primerica. It's a non-negotiable if you ever want to build a business where you're making money without having to get out of bed and go to work each day. It's a non-negotiable. Every big player in the company double-digit recruits. Everybody who has a business double-digit recruits. So we need to quit negotiating with ourselves about whether this thing is important or not. And we need to quit thinking to ourselves, well, the most I've ever gotten in a month is this, therefore. You've got to stop doing that. You need to, right from this moment on, draw a line in the sand and say, I have to double-digit recruit, because when you do that, now you can begin moving ahead with how do I make that happen? Rather than, do I really need to do it? Can I do it? Is it possible? Look at this other person in the office, they're not doing it. What are the odds? How am I going to... What you need to get that out of your head and just understand that is a non-negotiable, double-digit recruiting. Is that fair?
Yep.
So your job as we leave here today and tonight is to now start affirming that in your mind, because I even heard somebody say yesterday, I'm not good at recruiting. And I'm like, stop affirming that. Start, everybody you meet, in your mind, you should be thinking, I'm the greatest recruiter in the world. You are lucky to work with me. You know, and if you follow what I'm going to show you in a couple minutes, you will actually believe. Because really what we are, when you get good at building this business and understanding the lost art of something called taprooting in our business, you can take anybody who's willing to give you a list of names and get them to $100,000 income in an RVP contract. Anybody. And so when I sit down with people today, you know, when I'm doing interviews, when I'm in town for our guys, in my mind I'm thinking, don't piss me off. Don't say anything that annoys me, because I will close the door and you will have to go back out in the world and figure it out for yourself. But if you're nice, then we're going to set in motion a process that you'll make $100,000 a year here on. We're going to do that because we're kingmakers here. That's what we do. Anybody I choose to make a $100,000 earner in Primerica is a $100,000 earner. I'm a kingmaker. Because of my work ethic and my understanding of how the system works. And that's what you have to get to yourself. And so the second thing that I mastered was the financial business that we're in. The insurance and investment business. Within days of starting this business, I was on my first confrontation. I probably did, back then, we were doing confrontations with every app we did. Last week, we replaced a WFG. Do you have WFG out here?
Yeah.
World Effing Group? We replaced the WFG policy, a WFG UL policy. I love those guys. They're prospecting for me every day. Go out, please, go. Have success, prospect for me. Because as soon as I meet their clients, they're gone. And I can't buy a confrontation with those guys. They won't show up. So last week, one of our ladies prospected this lady, and she's got a WFG UL policy, and this lady, and so she said, well, I'd like to bring my manager to help explain it, because the other lady's bringing her WFG manager. And so the lady says, no, I can't, I don't want a confrontation in the house. And so I just prepared my rep for how to go in there and absolutely annihilate a WFG policy. And it was so easy to do. It's just like taking candy from a baby, and so I mastered this business. I mastered insurance and I mastered the investment business. I studied Nick Murray like you wouldn't believe. Anything I could get my hands on. I was studying at 11 o'clock at night when I'd get home from appointments. I was getting good. So what I did is I made sure that there wasn't a question somebody could ask me that I couldn't answer. I mastered the business. And I meet people who are here 5 years and still couldn't tear down an insurance policy. Still don't know how to answer those questions, don't understand what a dividend is, and when somebody says, oh, my policy's paid up, they don't know what to say about that. There's no such thing as a paid up policy. And they don't understand that stuff. And so I mastered that. And then number 3, I left home every single morning with one primary objective, and that was make money. Here's what Primerica does. Primerica pays you what you need to make. It pays you what you demand out of it, and not a penny more. It won't pay you what you want to make. It only pays you what you need to make. So if you're comfortable in your job, odds are you're not going to make it here. You know why? Because you won't do what I did. Because when somebody rejects you, you won't go back out tomorrow to get some more rejection. You won't do that. You'll find a recruit, because you don't double digit, you'll find one card and you'll try and hold on to that card so tight that eventually when they leave, a part of you leaves with them. See, no, when somebody leaves my business, a part of me doesn't go with them. I don't even light a candle for them or even a match. Because